Welcome to the Explainer. So you're thinking about bringing products into the UK market. Awesome. But that whole import process can look a little intimidating, right? Well, it doesn't have to be. In this Explainer, we're going to break down the entire journey, giving you a clear, step-by-step guide for your business.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with your big import plan, cover all those crucial pre-shipping steps, help you figure out your freight, get into the essential paperwork, and then finally walk you through what happens when your goods arrive for customs clearance in the UK.
Okay, so this is where it all begins. That big idea you have? We're talking about turning it into a real, physical product you can sell right here in the UK.
But hang on, before you go signing contracts or packing up a single box, there are a few things you've got to get sorted first. Trust me, getting these foundational pieces right from the get-go will save you a world of headaches down the line. Let's dig into what you need to do before your product even starts its journey.
All right, let's move on. I want you to think of this next part as getting your business an official passport for international trade. Seriously, these are the absolute non-negotiables you need to legally import anything into the UK.
Okay, first things first, you absolutely 100% need an EORI number. What's that? Well, without this unique ID, your goods are going to get stopped dead in their tracks at the border. They just can't clear customs. It really is the critical first step in your official import journey.
But hey, the good news, getting one is actually pretty straightforward. You just hop on the government's website, fill out the application, and it usually takes about 3 to 5 working days. And here's a little bonus. If you're already VAT registered, your EORI number is often linked directly to your VAT number, which just makes life that much easier.
All right, next up is your Customs Commodity Code. Now this is super important. This little code is how you tell HMRC exactly what you're bringing into the country. And getting this code right is vital because it directly decides how much duty and VAT you're going to pay. And believe me, a tiny difference in how you classify something, say leather shoes versus sports footwear, can make a huge difference to your final bill.
Now, I know, finding the right code can seem a bit complicated at first. But the government has this online tool, the Trade Tariff tool, that makes it so much more manageable. You can just search for your product and kind of click through the categories to find the exact code. And hey, if you really get stuck, you can just contact HMRC directly for help. They'll point you in the right direction.
Okay, last thing before you pull the trigger on anything. You're going to use that same trade tariff tool for a few final checks. First, find out your duty and VAT obligations. You might be surprised. A lot of food products, for example, are actually 0 rated for VAT. You also have to confirm if you need a special import license. And this is a big one. Make sure your goods aren't banned or restricted. We're talking about things like certain milk or meat products from specific countries. All right, so you've got the foundational paperwork sorted. High five. Now it's time to tackle the logistics puzzle. How are you actually going to get your stuff from your supplier all the way over to the UK? This is a really key decision that's going to hit both your timeline and your wallet. So really, it comes down to a fundamental choice: speed versus cost. You can go with air freight, which is super fast, perfect for smaller, lighter stuff that you need like yesterday, but it's pricey. We're talking 4 to 5 times more expensive than sea. On the other hand, you've got sea freight. It's the workhorse for bigger, bulkier shipments. It's way more cost-effective, but you have to plan for that longer travel time. For example, a ship from India to the UK, that's going to take you a good 35 to 40 days.
Okay, this next bit is super important for your budget. When you get a price quote from a supplier, you have to understand exactly what's included. If they say FOB, that means their price only covers getting the goods to their local port. You're on the hook for everything else: the international shipping, the UK clearance, the whole shebang. Now, if they quote CNF, that means their price includes shipping it to a UK port, but you still have to handle all the costs and logistics once it lands. It's so important to know the difference, because a cheap-looking FOB quote can actually end up costing you a fortune in shipping fees later on.
Okay, let's talk about the paperwork. Every single international shipment needs a whole set of documents to cross borders legally. The best way to think about this is like it's your product's passport. It literally cannot travel without it, and every single detail on there has to be perfect. So for pretty much any shipment, these are your 4 non-negotiables. You've got the bill of lading or airway bill. That's basically your receipt from the shipping company. Then there's the commercial invoice and the packing list, which we'll get into in a sec. And sometimes you might need a certificate of origin, especially if you want to get a better duty rate depending on where your goods are from. Right, so let's clear something up. 2 documents that people always get confused are the commercial invoice and the packing list. They can look kind of similar, but they do totally different jobs. The commercial invoice, that's for customs. It's all about the money. It declares the financial value so they can figure out how much tax you owe. The packing list, on the other hand, is for logistics. It's all about the physical stuff, what's in the boxes, how much it weighs, that kind of thing.
Yes, your shipment has made it. It's crossed the ocean or the sky, and it's finally here in the UK. It's a pretty exciting moment, but hold on, the journey isn't quite over. Now comes what is often the most critical and definitely the most time-sensitive part of the whole process: clearing customs.
So you might be sitting there thinking, okay, can I just handle all this complicated port stuff myself? And look, the honest truth is, for a first-time importer, the mountain of paperwork and back-and-forth communication can be, well, a bit overwhelming.
And that's exactly where freight forwarder comes in. Think of them as a specialist travel agent, but for your cargo. These guys are the experts. They navigate the entire clearance process for you. They've got the contacts, they know the paperwork inside and out, and they can even help you out with that tricky commodity code. Seriously, if you're just starting out, using a forwarder is a no-brainer. Highly recommended.
Now listen up, because this is important. The second your shipment is unloaded at the port, a clock starts ticking. At a seaport, you usually only get about 4 or 5 days of free storage. For air freight, it's even less, often under 24 hours. You absolutely have to get your goods cleared and picked up within that super tight window.
And what happens if you miss that deadline? Well, you get hit with something called demurrage charges. These are basically daily penalties from the port for storing your stuff, and they can be incredibly expensive. They can eat into your profits faster than you can say customs.
So, all of this brings us to what is maybe the single most important pro tip for importing successfully: be prepared. Honestly, the secret to a smooth, stress-free clearance is just getting all your correct documents to your freight forwarder well in advance. We're talking at least 2 weeks before your goods are even scheduled to arrive. If you do this one thing, you can avoid almost every common headache. And there you have it. That's the whole process, from A to Z. From getting your EOR number to picking your freight, all the way through to clearing customs. The path to becoming a UK importer is all laid out for you. So the only real question left is, what are you going to import first? Thanks so much for joining us on The Explainer.